What if the biggest power move in sports didn't happen during a game, but in a boardroom halfway across the world? When rumors started flying that Shedeur Sanders could be tied to a staggering $175 million basketball deal overseas, the internet didn't just react, it exploded. This is a quarterback who had just signed a rookie contract with the Cleveland Browns, a player many believed was building toward an NFL legacy. And suddenly, whispers suggested he might pivot to international basketball. It sounded unreal. Then Deion Sanders stepped in, or more accurately posted, a cryptic image, a Chinese flag emoji, a basketball emoji, no caption, no clarification, just enough mystery to send fans into overdrive. Now let's be clear. Reports of a fully guaranteed $175 million deal with the Chinese Basketball Association remain unconfirmed and highly speculative. There's no official announcement, no contract made public, but the buzz alone has shaken the sports world. Because this isn't just about switching sports. It's about leverage. It's about control. It's about whether elite athletes are finally realizing they don't have to follow the traditional path anymore. If this move is real, it challenges everything: the NFL development model, rookie contract structures, even the idea of what a legacy is supposed to look like. And if it's not real, then the strategy behind the rumor might be just as powerful. Either way, something bigger is happening here. And what unfolds next could redefine how superstar athletes think about their careers forever. It all started on draft night. For months, Shedeur Sanders was projected by many analysts as one of the most talked about quarterback prospects in his class. The hype was real. The production in college backed it up. The spotlight was already on him because of his last name. So when he kept sliding down the draft board, people didn't just notice, they froze. Round 1 passed, then round 2, then 3. By the time Shedeur was selected in the 5th round, it felt less like a football decision and more like a statement. Social media lit up with speculation. Was it concerns about his game, personality narratives, league politics? Some reports claimed teams had questions. Others suggested interviews didn't go as expected. It's important to note that much of that chatter remains speculation, but perception moves fast, especially in the NFL. Eventually, he landed with the Cleveland Browns on a rookie contract reportedly worth around $4.6 million. For most players, that's life-changing money, but for a quarterback once viewed as a potential franchise centerpiece, it felt underwhelming. And that's when the temperature shifted. Because when a player with his brand power and visibility signs a mid-round deal, the conversation isn't just about football anymore. It becomes about leverage. It becomes about value. It becomes about whether the system truly reflects what a player is worth, both on and off the field. Some fans believed he was underestimated. Others argued the draft played out exactly as it should have. But one thing was undeniable: the slide created tension. And in hindsight, that tension may have planted the seed for everything that followed. Because when you feel undervalued in one arena, you start looking at others. And what happened next would shake the entire sports world. Then came the rumor that flipped everything upside down. Out of nowhere, reports began circulating that Shedeur Sanders had secured a massive $175 million fully guaranteed deal to play basketball in China. Not football, basketball. And not just any casual overseas contract, a 5-year blockbuster agreement tied to the Chinese Basketball Association. At first, most people laughed it off. There's no way, right? A quarterback who just signed with the Cleveland Browns suddenly pivoting to professional basketball overseas? It sounded like clickbait. But then the chatter gained traction. A Chinese journalist reportedly connected to league insiders claimed the deal was real, fully guaranteed, massive endorsement incentives included, potential total value exceeding $200 million. Now let's slow this down. As of now, there has been no official confirmation from Shedeur, his camp, the Browns, or the CBA. This remains speculative. Rumors suggest it's either a serious negotiation, a strategic leverage play, or an exaggerated report that spiraled out of control. But here, the idea alone shook the industry. Because if even partially true, it changes the entire conversation around athlete mobility and earning power. NFL rookie contracts are structured and controlled. Overseas leagues, especially growing markets, can operate differently: fully guaranteed money, flexible brand partnerships, fewer league-imposed restrictions. And suddenly the math looks different. Instead of waiting years for a second NFL contract, you secure generational wealth immediately. Instead of playing within strict salary caps, you step into a global market eager for star power. That's why this rumor hit so hard. It wasn't just about switching sports. It was about challenging the traditional pipeline. It was about leverage. It was about proving elite athletes might have more options than anyone thought. And whether this deal materializes or not, one thing is certain. The mere possibility exposed how vulnerable the old system might be. And then came the post that made everything 10 times louder. Instead of denying the rumors, instead of laughing them off, Deion Sanders did what he does best. He leaned into the mystery. A simple photo of him and Shedeur Sanders smiling. No long caption, no press statement, just two emojis, a Chinese flag and a basketball. That was it. But in today's sports world, that's more than enough. Within minutes, social media exploded. Was this confirmation? A teaser? A negotiation tactic? Fans flooded the comments asking if Shedeur was really leaving the Cleveland Browns before ever taking a snap. Analysts began debating whether this was brilliant marketing or reckless messaging. And here what made it even more powerful, Deion didn't clarify. He followed up with more subtle posts, workout clips, gym sessions, no direct statements about the alleged $175 million deal tied to the Chinese Basketball Association, just enough breadcrumbs to keep the conversation burning. Now, let's be clear, there is still no verified confirmation of any signed contract overseas. Everything remains speculative. But Deion understands something most people don't. Silence can be louder than denial. By not shutting the rumor down, he allowed leverage to grow. If the deal is real, the emojis were a soft launch. If the deal isn't finalized, the speculation alone raises Shedeur's perceived market value. If it's all strategy, it's working. Because now every league is watching. This is classic Coach Prime. He has built his entire brand on flipping expectations and controlling narratives instead of reacting to them. He doesn't just answer questions, he creates them. And that's what makes this moment so fascinating. Whether the overseas deal materializes or not, Deion turned a rumor into a global headline without saying a single word. That's not accidental. That's calculated. Here's the part most casual fans either forgot or never knew. Shedeur Sanders wasn't just a quarterback growing up. He was a legitimate dual-sport athlete. Before football fully took over, basketball was very much part of the equation. In high school, he wasn't just filling a roster spot, he was producing smooth handle, court vision, confident shot. College-level programs reportedly showed interest in him as a point guard. The skill wasn't a gimmick, it was real. But football made more sense at the time. The legacy was there, the path was clearer, and with Deion Sanders guiding him, the NFL blueprint felt structured and strategic. So he leaned into football, and he delivered. Still, basketball never completely disappeared. According to reports and interviews over the years, Shedeur continued working on his game quietly. Off-season training, private sessions, NBA-level trainers. While he was grinding through playbooks and reading defenses, he was also putting up shots. That detail matters now more than ever. Because when rumors surfaced about a potential opportunity in the Chinese Basketball Association, it didn't come out of thin air. It connected to something real. Now, to be clear, there is no verified confirmation that Shedeur is walking away from football to play professional basketball overseas. The reported $175 million deal remains speculative, but the foundation for the rumor isn't fantasy. He has the background, he has the athleticism, he has the crossover appeal. And that's what makes this storyline dangerous. If this were just a football player randomly chasing a basketball paycheck, it would be easy to dismiss. But when a former dual-sport athlete with legitimate skill explores alternative paths, the conversation shifts. It stops being about hype. It becomes about possibility. And if there's one thing the Sanders family has consistently shown, it's that they're willing to explore options most athletes wouldn't even consider. Forget the highlights for a second, forget the emojis, forget the rumors. Let's talk business. If the reported $175 million offer tied to the Chinese Basketball Association is even close to accurate, and again, it remains unconfirmed, then this isn't just a sports decision. It's a financial chess move. In the NFL, rookie contracts are slotted, structured, controlled. When Shedeur Sanders signed with the Cleveland Browns, his earning power was largely dictated by draft position. Salary cap rules, collective bargaining agreements, franchise tags down the road, even superstar quarterbacks have to wait years before they truly control their market value. That's the system. But overseas leagues operate differently. A fully guaranteed contract means no waiting, no performance escalators, no team options holding you hostage, just locked-in money from day one. Add endorsement flexibility, media rights opportunities, and business partnerships in one of the world's largest consumer markets, and suddenly the equation shifts dramatically. And here's the part most critics ignore: global branding. Shedeur isn't just an athlete, he's a brand, social media reach, name recognition, crossover appeal. In China's massive market, that brand could expand beyond just sports into apparel, tech, entertainment, and licensing deals. The earning ceiling might actually be higher internationally than in a restricted rookie NFL deal. Now, does that mean he's abandoning football? Not necessarily. There's still no verified confirmation of any finalized overseas agreement, but even exploring the option sends a message. It says elite athletes no longer have to accept whatever path is handed to them. And if Deion Sanders is guiding this move, it fits his history perfectly. He's always understood leverage, always understood timing, always understood value. This isn't about running from competition. It's about maximizing opportunity. And if this strategy works, even partially, it could force American leagues to rethink how they structure power for young stars. This is the criticism that's spreading the fastest. The moment rumors surfaced about a possible overseas basketball deal, some fans immediately said it. He's running from competition, that he couldn't handle the pressure, that sliding in the draft shook his confidence, that leaving the Cleveland Browns before proving himself would mean he wasn't built for the league. But let's slow that down. Shedeur Sanders has lived under pressure his entire career. Every throw in college was dissected, every post-game interview analyzed, every mistake amplified because of his last name. If anything, he's one of the few young quarterbacks already conditioned for the NFL spotlight. Running from competition doesn't align with his track record. He's played in hostile stadiums, he's dealt with coordinator changes, he's faced relentless media narratives, and he's consistently responded by leveling up. That's not avoidance, that's resilience. Now, is the overseas rumor convenient timing after a draft slide? Maybe, but that doesn't automatically equal fear. In fact, exploring a fully guaranteed opportunity, if it's real, could signal the opposite. It takes confidence to bet on yourself in a different arena. It takes boldness to consider stepping outside the traditional NFL pipeline. And here's another layer most critics ignore. This move, if legitimate, wouldn't permanently close the door on American football. Athletes have returned from overseas stints before. Markets evolve, leverage shifts, careers are no longer linear. To be clear, there is still no verified confirmation that Shedeur is walking away from football. The reported $175 million deal tied to the Chinese Basketball Association remains speculative, but the narrative that he's afraid feels overly simplistic. Sometimes the loudest critics mistake strategy for surrender. And if Deion Sanders is advising this move, one thing is certain: it wouldn't come from a place of fear. It would come from leverage. And in today's sports world, leverage might be the ultimate form of competition. If you really want to understand what's happening here, you have to zoom out. This isn't just about Shedeur Sanders, it's about the mindset of Deion Sanders. Coach Prime has never played by traditional rules. During his career, he didn't just dominate in the NFL, he also played Major League Baseball at the same time. That wasn't normal, that wasn't safe, that wasn't recommended. But it worked because he understood something most athletes don't: leverage beats loyalty to a system. Now fast forward. If the rumored $175 million deal connected to the Chinese Basketball Association has any truth behind it, and again, it remains unverified, then this move fits perfectly into Deion's philosophy. Control your value, don't let leagues dictate your ceiling. Create options so powerful that organizations have to respond to you, not the other way around. Think about it. When Shedeur slid in the draft and signed with the Cleveland Browns, the message from the NFL machine was clear. This is your assigned worth. Fifth-round structure, rookie scale, controlled development. But Deion doesn't think in terms of assigned worth. He thinks in terms of market expansion. What if the NFL isn't the only stage? What if global markets offer more freedom? What if building a brand internationally strengthens leverage domestically later? That's the long game. Even if Shedeur never plays a single basketball minute overseas, the speculation alone shifts perception. It tells every team, every executive, every league this family isn't boxed in, they have alternatives. And alternatives equal power. Deion has always been a step ahead strategically. As a player, as a coach, and now as a father guiding a professional career, this isn't about impulsive decisions, it's about positioning. Because in modern sports, talent matters. But leverage changes everything. Here's the part most people are underestimating. If the rumored deal with the Chinese Basketball Association is even remotely real, and again, it remains unconfirmed, then this isn't just a contract, it's a global expansion strategy. China represents one of the largest consumer markets on the planet, over 1 billion people, a rapidly growing appetite for international sports stars, massive endorsement ecosystems, apparel, tech, streaming, gaming, licensing, the opportunities go far beyond the court. Now imagine plugging Shedeur Sanders into that environment. He's not just an athlete, he's a brand with built-in recognition thanks to his own production and the legacy of Deion Sanders. In the United States, he's a promising quarterback fighting for position. Overseas, he could instantly become a headline attraction not just for performance but for personality. And personality sells. The Chinese market has historically embraced American athletes who bring flair, confidence, and cultural presence. Shedeur fits that mold. Social media influence translates, jersey sales translate, brand partnerships translate. Now think long-term. If he builds international recognition first, he doesn't return to American sports as a developing prospect. He returns as a global figure. That shifts negotiating power dramatically. Teams don't just sign a quarterback, they sign a worldwide brand. That's leverage on a completely different level. Critics may argue that stepping outside the NFL risks legacy. But legacy in 2025 isn't confined to one league. It's about visibility, ownership, and influence. If you dominate a global market early, you expand your ceiling beyond traditional boundaries. To be clear, none of this is officially confirmed. The $175 million figure remains speculation, but the strategy behind even exploring such a move is undeniable. This isn't about abandoning football. It's about expanding the board. And in a world where sports are increasingly global, the athlete who thinks internationally might end up controlling the entire game. So here's the question nobody can ignore. Is Shedeur Sanders walking away from an NFL legacy, or is he building something even bigger? On one side, you have tradition, the classic path: grind through your rookie contract with the Cleveland Browns, earn your stripes, fight for a second deal, chase rings, cement your name in American football history. On the other side, you have leverage. A rumored $175 million overseas opportunity tied to the Chinese Basketball Association, still unconfirmed, still speculative, but powerful enough to shake the industry. Fully guaranteed money, global branding, immediate control over your narrative. The debate isn't really about basketball versus football. It's about control versus structure. The NFL model has always required patience. Teams hold the power early. Contracts are slotted, movement is limited, you prove yourself first, then you get paid. That's the system. But what happens when a player's brand value outpaces the structure designed to contain it? That's where this story gets bigger than one athlete. If Shedeur even considered this global pivot, it signals a shift in mindset. Athletes today understand markets, they understand branding, they understand ownership. And with guidance from Deion Sanders, someone who built his entire career on breaking conventional molds, the strategy feels intentional, not emotional. Critics will say he's risking legacy. Supporters will say he's maximizing opportunity. The truth, legacy isn't only defined by one league anymore. It's defined by impact, influence, and financial independence. And here's the twist most people aren't ready for. Even if this overseas deal never materializes, the conversation already changed something. It exposed that elite athletes may no longer feel trapped by one path. Legacy used to mean loyalty to the system. Now it might mean mastering leverage within it. And whichever route Shedeur ultimately chooses, one thing is certain: the play was bold. And bold moves reshape industries.